Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Father Vince, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Easter Triduum. And I also want to invite you to participate in the Easter Triduum. When we go to Mass as Catholics, we're not just remembering something or just going through a ritual, but we're really participating in something. We believe that when we come to Mass, that same sacrifice that Jesus celebrated becomes present to us upon the altar. And so when we go to participate in the Easter Triduum, we're not just remembering Jesus' passion, his death, and his resurrection, but we're really entering into it, we're participating in it. So the Easter Triduum is the center, it's the heart of the entire liturgical year of the Church. We usually celebrate Christmas in a more solemn fashion. We really prepare for it with Christmas trees and gifts and everything, but we don't prepare very well for the Easter season, and we don't even get work off for the Easter Triduum. But I think it's so important for us to participate in the Triduum because participating in the liturgy is our way of entering into that great mystery, which begins really on Holy Thursday. On Holy Thursday, we commemorate the Lord's Supper, which is the Last Supper, which he celebrated in the upper room with his disciples, where he instituted both the Eucharist, when he said, "Take and eat, this is my body," and he also instituted holy orders, the priesthood, when he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." And those two sacraments are intrinsically linked. They always go together because it's the priest who makes the Eucharist present, and it's the Eucharist which is really the heart of the priesthood. And Jesus gives us another picture, a new picture of what the priesthood really should look like. And we do this every Holy Thursday when the priest washes the feet of a group of lay people. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, giving a deeper meaning to what it means to be a priest. A priest is not someone who sits up there and tells everyone what to do, but a priest is a servant. And this is what Jesus shows us, because usually in ancient culture, when a guest would come over to the house, the servants, the slave, would wash the feet of the guest. The reason is because if you're wearing sandals and you're traveling on a dirt road, your feet are going to be pretty dirty, especially if there's water somewhere. So when they would arrive, the servant would take their shoes off and they would wash their feet. But the master would never do that. So there's this symbolism that Jesus, the master, the teacher, the rabbi, is the one who is serving. He's the one who is washing the feet of his disciples. And Peter is scandalized, but Jesus says, if you are washed, if your feet are washed, then you are clean. And so Jesus gives an example to his disciples. This is how you are to live your priesthood. Not lording it over people, but as a servant, as a humble servant. And this is really the model for all priests. And I think especially Pope Francis has been a model for us in many ways, and all the things that he has done in talking about the poor and going to the prison to wash the feet of the prisoners, which he did last year on Holy Thursday. All these beautiful gestures. So comes before the liturgy of the Eucharist, and then at the end of the Mass of the Lord's Supper, the Mass doesn't actually end. There's no conclusion, there's no final blessing, because the entire Easter Triduum is one gigantic liturgy. So Holy Thursday goes into Good Friday and into the Easter Vigil. And so instead of a final blessing, there is a solemn procession that goes from the altar, and it goes back to another part of the church where there is the Blessed Sacrament is reserved, and there is a vigil that's held, usually until about midnight. And this is a way also of keeping vigil, keeping watch with Jesus. After he exits the upper room, he goes into the Garden of Gethsemane, and where he invites Peter, James, and John to watch and to pray. So we want to watch and pray with Jesus during that time. And it's a great way to enter into those 3 days where most people have to go back to work the next day. They have to go back to their busy lives. But this is a reminder to us that we are with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. We are with him in prison that evening. We are also with him as he's traveling the way of the cross the next day. And so Holy Thursday is the Lord's Supper, a beautiful way to enter into the Easter Triduum. So we've talked about that. Next we're going to talk about Good Friday and the veneration of the cross.